Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Alan, another broadcast of the Morlock Morning Digest. And as always, I ask that you guys please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, but most importantly, share this content. You'll find a link in the description below for my BitChute channel, as well as my PayPal, as well as a Bitcoin address. If you guys donate, I appreciate it very much. Now, I had a subscriber ask me yesterday if I would get into my theory on the Bible not being presented to us in the proper historical context. This is going to ruffle a lot of feathers. I've tried to make this video about eight times right now. You're going to get this take no matter what. So I apologize if it's all over the place. We're going to start out with me describing myself spiritually. I am a Bible literalist in my own mind. However, when I say that, I am referring to the Book of Remembrance, the Old Testament, right? The Book of Yasher, as well as the Book of Enoch. Now, the New Testament, in my opinion, is nothing more than a tool in order to enslave the true Israelites into believing in a false Messiah, creating Christianity. Now, allow me to explain why. The Book of Remembrance tells us very explicitly of 3 sins. They tell us that worshiping a false idol is a sin, okay? They tell us that when the fallen came down and corrupted the females, that was a direct unholy of unholy sins, right? They also told us that putting anybody between you and the Most High for prayer is a sin. Now, as Christians, we are taught to believe, as a Christian, you are taught to believe that those laws died with the Old Testament, the Book of Remembrance. Well, where are you told that, and by whom are you told that? The New Testament tells you that. Okay. Well, with the birth of JC, the New Testament sets itself up in direct contradiction to the Book of Remembrance, and in turn, direct competition to the Book of Remembrance. And this was done so intentionally, because as I've discussed, if you were Satan and you were given the tools of power to do anything you wanted, why would you not corrupt the most influential book of spirituality on the planet by introducing to the system a counter narrative that completely goes against everything in the Book of Remembrance and perverts it into something unrecognizable? Now, the reason that all of this holds true in my mind is because once JC is born, you introduce an idol into the equation who is then put between you and the Most High for your prayer, which is another sin. And then on top of it, the Most High broke the most unholy of unholy sins by corrupting Mary in the same fashion that the fallen did. And he explicitly told us in the Book of Remembrance that this is a sin above all sins. So now we're supposed to believe that the Most High literally breaks 3 of the most basic and fundamental sins of the Book of Remembrance in the creation of the man who is literally going to absolve us all of our sin, which again is something the Book of Remembrance explicitly tells us is impossible. Okay, well, the book that tells you all of this is also the book that tells you the laws of the Old Testament or the Book of Remembrance are dead. Alright, now, who was the person who supposedly wrote the most accurate rendition of this book that we use today? That was King James. Well, King James isn't even who we're told he is, okay? For one, King James was a black man, and I have proof of this. You can go look at pictures of him as a white person, but they were whitewashed, because there's engravings of him that predate any artwork, right, that's painted on tapestry that could have been altered. There's engravings that clearly show he is a black man, but not only that, his wife is also black with an afro, and in fact, the lineage and the kingdoms in Scotland, historically, were ran by blacks, and that is a fact, okay? There's no denying it. Scottish history was also distorted the same way the New Testament was. But my point here is, if we don't even know who really wrote the modern rendition, the King James Bible, if we're told he's a white man and he's actually black, how are we supposed to believe that that work was even written by this historical figure who isn't even represented in proper context? Okay, what I find very interesting about this whole thing is the New Testament shows up in a time period exactly when it would be most beneficial for the power system that ought not be, the corruption that came with that fruit of knowledge being partaken of all the way back at the beginning of the story in the book of remembrance. What better way then to corrupt the entire basis of truth and your connection back to the Most High than to write a book that directly contradicts it, that directly contradicts the book of remembrance, and then also removes the practicers, the people that practice that religion, practice that story, practice that truth and history, and then remove them and teach them that Christian ways are the proper ways. And you'll see that the Spanish Inquisition was a tool to do this. And it happened over and over again throughout history. You'll see that people are forced into Christianity more and more and more as time progresses forward into modernism. I don't remember hearing any stories about Israelites or the true Hebrews going around and forcing people to believe in the Most High through the book of remembrance. That's not how things work. You're born into that. You can't be recruited into that. You're born into that. But the thing is, we all have ancestors that were born into it. We all are true Israelites and Hebrews, right? A lot of our ancestors gave their blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice, murdered their own children, etc. So we wouldn't fall into this paganism, new idolatry of JC and fall into Christianity. There's stories of Hebrew women slaughtering their own children so they wouldn't be forced into these concentration camps of re-education, right? And there's a reason for that. If you want to know where I'm coming from, please go read the Book of Remembrance without the eyes and the lenses of Christianity, and you will see that it is a true historical account of history from the bloodline of Adam's perspective, from the very beginning all the way till the very end of the 4,000-year story, until it was corrupted with the introduction of the New Testament, completely perverting the laws and traditions of the Book of Remembrance. If these two books were supposed to coexist and tell the same story, why does the New Testament directly contradict all of the teachings and moralities of the Most High in the Book of Remembrance to the point where the Most High himself is violating his own commandments? That doesn't sound like the Most High that I was taught to worship. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you got something out of it. If you guys have topics you want me to cover, please shoot them down below. I'm sorry I haven't had a video for you in the past couple of days. Everything's been very taxing on the mind. I've had to catch up on sleep, etc., etc. I know you guys don't mind, but I feel obligated to give you guys content. Take care. May the Most High be with you, and I'll talk to you soon.